Jared Kushner is helping conduct American foreign policy while also controlling a private investment business backed overwhelmingly by foreign money. Now, House Judiciary Committee Democrats are expanding an investigation into that collision of public power and private wealth, focusing on a luxury resort project in Albania tied to a land deal worth more than $120 million. The question is not whether Kushner has been proven corrupt. He has not. The question is whether someone can exercise extraordinary government influence while holding enormous foreign-linked financial interests and still operate inside gaps the law may not fully cover. On August 25th, Congressman Jamie Raskin announced that Judiciary Committee Democrats were widening an existing inquiry into Kushner. The committee says Kushner did not respond to an April request for records and that Affinity Partners did not respond to a later staff follow-up. Kushner's public role is not hypothetical. A 2026 presidential transcript identifies him as a U.S. Special Envoy for Peace, and the White House has documented his participation in diplomacy alongside senior administration officials. At the same time, he remains tied to Affinity Partners, the firm he founded after leaving the White House. If you haven't subscribed to Progressive Wave with Sam, please do so now and like the video. Here is where the money enters the story. Senate Finance Committee records show that Saudi Arabia's public investment fund committed $2 billion to Affinity Partners. Additional capital came from sovereign wealth funds connected to Qatar and the United Arab Emirates. In 2024, Affinity reported that 99% of its assets under management were attributable to non-U.S. persons. By 2026, congressional investigators said the firm had roughly $6.16 billion under management, with about $6.10 billion tied to foreign nationals. That does not prove that foreign governments control Kushner. It does not prove an illegal exchange, and it does not prove that foreign money financed the Albania resort. In fact, the resort company has said Kushner and other investors were participating in their personal capacities rather than through Affinity, but the overlap matters. The question is whether safeguards are strong enough to prevent private incentives from shadowing public decisions. Kushner has access to American diplomatic power and sits at the center of a private investment network heavily financed by foreign interests. Meanwhile, in Albania, a Kushner-backed resort project has become the subject of protests, land disputes, and a criminal investigation involving the seller of property tied to the development. Reuters reported that Albanian anti-corruption prosecutors suspect businessman Artur Shihu and others of using falsified property documents and laundering proceeds connected to cocaine trafficking. Prosecutors froze roughly 110 million euros from the land sale in a notary account. Shihu denies the allegations, and this point is essential. Reuters reported that Albanian prosecutors did not accuse Kushner or the resort investors of wrongdoing and found no indication that they knew about the suspicion surrounding Shihu when the land was purchased. So why does Congress care? Because the story is larger than one resort or one disputed property. It is about whether the American system has adequate rules for someone who can move between diplomacy and private global finance without the clear separation we would normally expect between public service and personal business. The people who hold the power here are not only politicians, they are also investors, sovereign wealth funds, heads of government, and individuals with access to presidents and diplomatic negotiations. Those who can preserve both government access and private business interests benefit from a system with weak separation. The people who pay the price are citizens who depend on foreign policy being made for public purposes, not clouded by financial interests they cannot fully see. Albanians also face concrete consequences. Residents have challenged ownership claims over portions of the resort land. Protesters have demonstrated against the project. Prime Minister Edi Rama has strongly defended the development, even as environmental concerns have drawn scrutiny from the European Union. None of that proves bribery. None of it proves criminal conduct by Kushner, but it shows why transparency matters before, not after, a scandal is proven. Raskin's broader argument is that existing conflict of interest and foreign agent laws may not neatly cover Kushner's unusual role. Congress is now seeking records that could clarify those relationships and whether existing laws need strengthening. That is the revelation at the center of this story. The danger may not be a secret crime already uncovered. The danger may be that enormous public influence and enormous private financial interests can coexist in plain sight while accountability mechanisms struggle to keep up. And that is why this matters beyond Jared Kushner. If the rules are unclear, weak, or easy to sidestep, then the issue is not simply one family, one administration, or one resort. It is whether Americans can know whose interests are being served when private wealth and public power occupy the same room. If you want independent, progressive analysis that goes beyond the headline and reveals who holds the power, who benefits, and who pays the price, subscribe to Progressive Wave with Sam. Understanding what happened is only the beginning. What matters is understanding why and what it means for all of us.